cevap vermekten çok memnun olacağımı söylüyorum.
Hi, first of all, I really want to thank you for sharing this amazing experience with us, coming all the way. And I just wanted to ask you your story, your journey about having the decision of making this kind of a movie. What was the ideas that triggered you to make such a movie? Thank you.
Teşekkürler. Soru, önce teşekkür ediyor bu film için arkadaşımız ve soruyor, bu yolculuk nasıl seni buraya getirdi? Bu fikir, bu düşünce nasıl oluştu?
I made a movie a couple years ago about a radical political group from the 1970s that did armed struggle. They bombed things in the United States.
1970'lerde silahlı bir şekilde protesto eden bir grupla ilgili bir film yapmıştım.
When I was doing research for this documentary, I read a lot of books, and several times I came across this thing in English called The Crisis of Leisure Time.
Araştırma yaparken bu grupla ilgili şöyle bir materyal, bu belgesel için yaptığım araştırmada şöyle bir materyal buldum. Zevkli zamanların krizi.
And I was curious, what is the crisis of leisure time? I did more research and learned that in the 50s and 60s in the United States, people thought everything was getting better, automation, and that in the future, the biggest problem we'd have was what to do with all our free time.
Anladım ki 1950'lerde ve 60'larda gelişen düşünce geleceğin çok iyi olacağına dairdi. Ve onların tek endişesi her şey o kadar iyi olacak ki biz boş vaktimizde ne yapacağız?
That was just 30 years ago. It wasn't very long ago, but it made me realize how today I don't think anybody feels like the future is going to be great. At least I'm not sure about here, but in the United States, I think most people in the West in general feel like the future is going to be worse.
Bu aslında o kadar eskiye ait olmayan bir zaman. Fakat bugünle karşılaştırınca geleceğe ait böyle bir umut yok gibi. En azından Amerika'da, Batı'da öyle. Burada öyle mi bilmiyorum ama geleceğe bu kadar umutla bakmıyor gibiyiz.
So I wanted to make a movie that explored how this happened, how we got here not in a poetic way, not in a very straightforward way where you interview experts or something like that.
İşte bu konuda biraz daha şairane bir film yapmak istedim. Buraya nasıl geldik? O süreç nasıl oldu?
So I think that you already have everything memorized, and because we had subtitles and all. So why did you want to make this a live documentary instead of just having a voiceover?
Soru şu, bütün metni ezberlemiş gibisin, her şeyi daha önceden tekrarlamış gibi. Neden böyle bir canlı belgesel yapmak istedin?
Two things about that. One, it changes every time, but in order to have the subtitles, we had to do it just like we did it last time. So it changes in small ways each time, and I say things differently. So this is a little unique in that it's very fixed.
Aslında her defasında küçük değişiklikler oluyor fakat bu özel bir gösterimdi. Çünkü ilk defa altyazıyla yaptığımız için son gösterimin aynısını tekrar etmeye çalıştık.
There's a couple answers to your question, and I'll keep it short. One, I think there is a difference. It may be very subtle, but it's significant between hearing music that's recorded and seeing people play it, or hearing some voiceover or seeing somebody talking. I think in some ways there's something that interests me a lot about liveness. There's a very subtle power there that I like and am interested in.
Birkaç şekilde cevap vermeye çalışacağım soruna. Canlı performansın farklı bir gücü var. En azından bence diyor. Müzik, çalınan, kaydedilmiş müziği dinlemektense canlı müziği dinlemenin farklı bir hissi var. Kaydedilmiş bir sesin anlatımını dinlemektense birinin o anda karşınızda anlatmasını dinlemek daha farklı.
One other thing, if you're making films today, you have to accept that people might be watching your movie on their phone or on their computer while they're checking email.
Bir de şunu hatırlamamız lazım ki bugün yaşadığımız zamanlarda insanlar belki filminizi bilgisayarda e-maillerine bakarken izliyor ya da telefonundan izliyor.
I really still love the magic of cinema, being in a space with other people and the lights go down and you're part of something bigger. So this in some ways is a way that a movie has to be seen in that way.
Bense tiyatroda, sinema ortamında filmin seyredilmesinin büyüsüne hala inanıyorum. Çünkü bu komünel bir şey, toplu bir tecrübe oluyor. Ve böyle yapınca buna biraz mecbur kalıyor insan. What do you think is the utopia of cinema or utopia for cinema? Cinematic.
Here you go.
Well, I think in some ways cinema is a utopian experience because utopia is almost always being part of a collective experience. There are not a lot of utopias where you're alone at home in your bedroom.
Sinema zaten başlı başına ütopik bir oluşum. Sinemaya gelinince yine komünel bir şekilde tecrübe ediliyor her şey.
So in cinema you go and you're with people and you lose yourself in something bigger. Your normal life falls away, and that's what, if you remember the people are going to say.
Ütopya'da olduğu gibi sinemada da geldiğinizde daha büyük bir şeyin içinde kayboluyorsunuz. Günlük hayatlarınızdan uzaklaşıyorsunuz ve başka bir şeye teslim oluyorsunuz.
That's what, if you remember the young people in China in the old footage when they were yelling and Mao was there, that's what was happening to them. They were lost in something bigger. And it may look crazy to us, but that was probably one of the most meaningful experiences they ever had.
Filmden hatırlarsanız o yıllar önce Çin'de kaydedilen görüntülerde Mao'nun konuşmasında gençler kendinden geçiyordu. Orada bağırarak ve o an hayatlarında çok önemli bir an olmuştu. How do you feel about the subtitles? Since this was your first experience, did it feel right to you?
I'm not sure I could read them. So oh, it's funny. It's a lot different. I think subtitles when you're reading the audience. I think everything's a lot quieter with the subtitles. People read, you're sort of in your head, and it's different. I don't know. It's harder for me to tell if the movie is working for people or not. It's complicated. It makes it a little more complicated.
Benim için biraz karmaşık bu. İlk defa tecrübe ediyoruz. Bir altyazıları okuyamıyorum, anlamıyorum. Bir o var. Ama genelde altyazılar olunca sanki daha sessiz bir izleyici grubu oluyor. Belki insanlar önce okuyor, o bir vakit alıyor, sonra düşünüyorlar. Film tam olarak sizinle hani işe yaradı mı, hissedebildiniz mi tam emin değilim.
One more thing I want to say, it's hard for us to know. In some ways, the piece is about a kind of crisis of imagination in the U.S. and a lot of the West, and I don't know how relevant that is here, for example. It's such a different history and a different place, and so I'd be curious if anybody thought that doesn't make any sense at all, it's completely irrelevant. Come talk to us afterwards. I'd actually be interested in hearing that.
Şöyle bir şey merak ediyorum. İlk defa bu kadar farklı bir seyirciye sunduğumuz için bu filmi. Bu tabii bizim Amerika'da olan bir işte hayal gücü kriziyle ilgili, orada yaşadıklarımızla ilgili bir film. Ve dünyanın bu tarafına bu ne kadar aksediliyor, sizi ne kadar ilgilendiriyor bu, onu tam olarak bilmiyorum. Eğer gerçekten bu film yani ne alaka, hiç bana hitap etmiyor diye düşünen varsa daha sonra çıkışta bu konuda fikirlerinizi almayı çok isterim.
My name is Zeynep. First of all, congratulations. I really enjoyed watching it.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
It's film as a documentary, the way it was done, and the way it made it live. When I was watching it, I was just thinking, the times and politics.
Yeah.
How you, again, Esperanto, the language,
Yeah.
Utopia.
Yeah.
In Turkey at the moment, there are more than 20,000 missing people.
Yeah.
And
From the PKK and stuff like that?
no, not only from the PKK, villagers.
Oh.
PKK or not, but Kurdish. Predominantly Kurdish people,
Yeah.
not necessarily Gay. And there had been mass graves that are coming out. Actually, these days,
Yeah.
Maybe they on newspaper, there's another masquerade, and none of them have been identified yet, only one person so far. I was watching it and just thinking, it'd be actually amazing, maybe a bit utopic for mothers from Bosnia, or Chile, Russia, Chechnya, all came to Turkey and just made something about it.
Well, if you think about it, if you lose somebody, it's so terrible. But if you lose them and you don't know whatever happened to them, it's like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
And if you can give them an answer, that's better than anything a person could do.
Your text was very moving in that sense.
Thanks.
It was great.
Thank you for coming.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Yeah.
So I was wondering, do you think it's just because of this time we are living, there's a mass communication, so we're more aware of the problems that we are living, and the world is always had its problems.
Yeah.
But you can always hear about it now.
We know about it.
So you can read
that's probably true.
newspapers, and
That's probably true.
I think a farmer alone, like who doesn't have any television or internet,
Right.
is
Now
much more
he-
happier with his
right.
own problems and without the ideas of like some.
It could be. I mean, that's something about technology that it's supposed to make everything better, and maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Knowing everything about everything maybe isn't such a good thing.
Yeah, I guess.
It's true. But the truth is, too, that farmer who used to live a happy life because of the way economic changes in the world have happened, that farmer's had to move to the city and has a shitty life there. So it's not just the media, it's also the circumstances.
And getting overpopulated now.
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah, I mean, about your question, like if this country has the same kind of problems like the news, but we do have it. That. So I think this movie will mean something to people who watches it.
I wasn't sure, because obviously there's such a different history here, and also I wasn't sure if there's much more hope, because in a way, the United States is going down and Turkey's coming up.
But it's not. On the media, it's always like bad news and bad news.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been inspirational, so.
Okay.
Happy, nice
to meet you.